Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Epsom Downs here on Saturday. It's the 1st of June 2024. Going to look at the stakes races here on Derby Day from Epsom, including the Derby. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And join me tomorrow for my French Derby, the Prix du Jockey Club preview from Chantilly. Looks like it's going to be an excellent race and an excellent card tomorrow from Chantilly, so I hope you join me for that. And also join me next week for my Belmont Stakes Festival previews from Thursday to Saturday up at Saratoga. They're having the Belmont Stakes Festival, and it looks like it's going to be an exciting week. So join me for those previews of those races next week. But today's card from Epsom is very good. Of course, the Derby came up very good this year. So let's get to the action. We'll be looking at races 2, 3, 5, and 6. So the 2 o'clock, the 2:35, the Dash, which is 3:45, and the featured Derby, which is the 4:30, the 6th race. Let's get to it right now. The second race, the 2 o'clock, it's the Group 3 Princess Elizabeth Stakes. It's a Group 3 event for Class 1 horses going for a purse of $127,000, race for 3-year-olds and upward. Fillies mares here. 9 horses are going 1,700 meters or the extended mile and a 16th on the turf course. Turf course definitely has some give in it. It was rated yielding good to soft. It's the more softer side of, I think. So you just want to keep that in mind. They were really getting a good handle, a good clumps up of the ground on Friday afternoon. My top selection here in the Princess Elizabeth, I'm going to go with the 5-horse running line. We'll go 5-4-2 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta. 5-4-2 Tri-Cash Trifecta, top selection of 5-horse running line. This 4-year-old gun by Roaring Line here. Jonathan Thady trains. Ocean Murphy gets to mount. The horse's most recent appearance came the 5th of May at Newmarket. A mile and the 8th in the Group 2 Dahlia Stakes. The horse finished second by 3.5 lengths that day, and she basically stalked all the way around the race course. She had a little bit of a turn of foot, but staying alert, won that day. Just had the jump on this one, but she ran her heart out. Second off the bench with a very good post. Definitely can handle it given the ground. I think she could run a good race and win here today. 2 back, she ran in the Group 1 British Champion Filly Mare Stakes at Ascot, a mile and a half soft ground, 21st of October. I do think she just got out distanced that day, and also she was facing a very tough Group 1 quality horse. She finished 8th by 7.25 lengths that day. She was with them early on, but then just completely crumbled off the pace. She just wasn't keeping up there and wasn't staying that final 2. I think a mile and a quarter is probably her limits. Mile 16 today is what she wants to do. And then prior to that, she ran the Group 3 Dubai Stakes at Newmarket, a mile and a half on very fast ground at the end of September. She finished 3rd by 5.25 lengths that day, and again, she stalked that day, was very rambunctious before and after the race. If you watch the preliminaries going into the race, she was just not herself that day, and she just wasn't handling it that day. It wasn't her day to win. And then prior to that, at Salisbury, 16th of August, a mile and a quarter and the Upavon Stakes. The horse finished second by 3.5 lengths that day. And again, she sat back early. She had a little bit of turn of foot off the bench, back from the Prix de Diane. It was a good race. Her Prix de Diane before that, Chantilly over the mile and 5:16. She was facing tough horses over a trip too long. She just never really got running. Also, she had a wide trip. Finished 15th by 18 lengths. Wasn't her day to win, but she won the Prix Poly before that, Newmarket on soft ground, and broke won a very nice conditions race to start off the season last year. Down the class ladder here at 9-5. I know she's a short price, but she could definitely win. I think 4-horse Royal Dress is a horse you want to use in your quad pot here, or your place pot here for James Tate. Most recently in the Conquer Stakes at Goodwood over the mile, the horse went by a nose that day and really gained a lot of ground that day, but took a little bit of time to get going. But when he finally did, he took off clear. I thought that was a very strong run. Prior to that, at Haydock on heavy ground, 6 furlongs in Class 3 Handicap in the fall last year, the horse finished 7th by 15 lengths that day and just completely crumbled that day. I do think the trips over a mile better for this horse. He just wasn't getting a good handle of the ground that day. And then at York in a Heritage Handicap during the Ebor, he finished 17th by 29 lengths that day, and that day he just never was really comfortable. But refreshing here, back to soft ground, back to a mile 16 trip, which I think this horse should absolutely adore. I think he can win. I'm going to use him on the ticket in the place pot. But to recount my selection for the 2 o'clock, the second race from Epsom, it's the Group 3 Princess Elizabeth Stakes. We're going to take the 5-horse running line, give kudos to the 4-horse Royal Dress, 5-4-2 Tri-Cash Trifecta, 5-4 in the multi-race. The third race now, the 2:35. It's the Group 3 Diomed Stakes. It's a Group 3 event for Class 1 horses going for a purse of $127,000, race for 3-year-olds and upwards. 8 horses are going 1,700 meters or a mile 16th here in the Diomed, the counterpart to the Princess Elizabeth, which is for the fillies here. This one is now for the boys. My top selection here, I'm going to go with the 6-horse Royal Scotsman. I'm going to go 6-3-11 in 6-3-1 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta, not 6-3-11. There's no 11 here. 6-3-1 Tri-Cash Trifecta. Top selection selection, the 6-horse Royal Scotsman. This 4-year-old colt by Glen Eagles here. Paul and Oliver Cole trains this one. Jamie Spencer, the veteran, gets the mount. This horse is getting serious class relief off some of his most previous races. Most recently ran in the Group 1 lock-in at Newbury, a mile on the 18th of May. He finished ninth by 25 lengths that day, and he didn't really break that day, which cost him. He wasn't going to win anyway, but he didn't break so well, and he just never was really comfortable off the bench, off a long bench. He probably needed the race also. Second off the bench, he should be a lot fresher. He's going to get it given the ground, which I think he should handle, and he's also getting that serious class relief that's going to really suit him and get him over the wire first, I think, here today. Two back, he ran the Group 1 St. James Palace at Ascot, a mile on good ground the 20th of June. He finished 8th by 11 lengths that day, and again, he just never really showed up. He wasn't into the race. He does his better running when he's a little bit closer to the pace. He was just way out of it that day. And then prior to that, in the Group 1 2,000 guineas last year at Newmarket, a mile on, in the 2,000 guineas in Ireland before that, he finished 9th by 7.25 lengths that day. He was sent off as the 1-2 favorite that day. Paddington won quite nicely, beat him actually the next start on the St. James Palace. This horse that day just never showed up. He was on the drive, just not excelling that day. But he ran a very good place behind Shaladin in the 2,000 guineas at Newmarket on soft ground on the 6th of May last year, where he finished third by 2.25 lengths, drawn on the stand side that day. He was with him early on. He got a little bumpy in the lane, but he was staying the trip well. Not a bad race in defeat off the bench. And then the Dewhurst in 2022 at Newmarket over the 7 furlongs. He finished second by a head behind Shaladin that day. And again, he was with them early on. Shaladin had the jump on him, but he got around the race course well. You know, he had some hidden ability here. This one, his 2-year-old form wasn't bad at all, beating a good group of horses in the Richmond Stakes in Newmarket at Goodwood as a 2-year-old. Refreshing here, I think he could win. The 3-horse Epatitis for Jonathan Thady-Gazan and Kieran Schumacher, it wouldn't surprise me if this horse wins also. Most recently he ran the horse at Ascot in the Paradise Stakes, where he finished 5th by 11 lengths that day, and he just never really showed up. He probably needed the race that day. His last few, he's been running against tough horses also. Prior to that, in the Queen Elizabeth Stakes at Ascot on Champions Day, he finished 8th by 26 lengths again. Just never was really into the race and weak and out of it. Top Group 1 quality horses that day. The last decent race for this horse actually came in the Joel Stakes in Newmarket on fast ground in the fall, where he finished 4th by 3.25 lengths that day. And again, he just didn't have a lot of forwardly pace. He was gaining late that day. I thought he showed potential. And then in the Celebration Mile at Goodwood in late summer, he finished 5th by 4.75 lengths that day. And again, he was with him early on, just kind of yielded late, maybe just going a little bit too fast in the demanding ground, but he got around the race course well. He's a little bit inconsistent at times, but that's when he's running against tough horses. I do think with some serious class relief, he should get a good trip to win. He had great form in his 2-year-old to early 3-year-old campaign. He actually won the Derby trial on this course quite easily, and then came back to front of the Dante and ran horribly in France. And after France, he never really has shown that good form, but also he's been running against those tough horses of the division. That, like I said, down the class ladder, I think he could win. I'll use him on the quad pot ticket that actually begins with this race, so let's use him there. But to recap my selection for the 235, the third race now from Epsom, it is the Group 3 Diomed Stakes. Going to take the 6-horse Royal Scotsman, give kudos to the 3-horse Epictetus, 6-3-1, Tricast Trifecta, 6-3 in the multi-race. So we're going to head over to race number 5, the 345, and make sure you, hold on tight, because they're going to be flying in this one. The 5th race, the 345, it is the Aston Martin Dash Handicap. It's a Class 2 Heritage Handicap, going for a purse of $127,000. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 15 horses dashing 1,000 furlongs are down the flying 5 here at Epsom, one of the fastest 5 furlong courses, or one of the fastest sprint 5 furlong course in the world, and probably one of the fastest sprinting turf courses in the world also. It kind of reminds me of where they go those quick fractions down the hillside turf course at Santa Anita. So it's going to be exciting with this one. I don't think they're going to break the track record today with the rain in the ground, but still, it's going to be an exciting one. My top selection, I'm going to go with the 1-horse Clarendon House. 1-9 for me in the forecast exacta here. 1-9 forecast exacta, but to tell you the truth, I think any of these 2 horses can win, so we'll use them both in the place and quad pot here and exacta forecast combinations. But the top selection, the 1-horse Clarendon House, the 6-year-old gelding by Maymoss here. Robert Cowell trains. Tom Marquand gets them out. He's the high weight of 139 pounds. Most recently ran in a Class 2 handicap at York, 5 furlongs on good ground, 16th of May, and the horse was by 1.25 lengths that day, and basically on the stand side. He sat back early. He saw a good pace to close up into, and he did just that. Close up from the mid-pack, from the back of the pack. second off the bench. That was a very good run. He is coming to soft ground today where he's had, decent success on. I think he's, can run a really good race. He ran terrifically before that Goodwood on, decently terrifically at Goodwood, 5 furlongs in a Class 2 handicap. If he would have broke, he would have won by open legs, but he didn't break out of the gate so clearly. He kind of jumped out of it. He finished 4th by 1/4 lengths that day. He really gained a lot of ground, but off the bench, probably not 100% cranked, but like I said, if he would have broke, he would have won easily there. And then prior to that, in the Haver Stakes at Seville, 5 furlongs on the 24th of 24th of February, he finished 3rd by 3 3/4 lengths that day, and he was with him early on. He just kind of yielded late. First start back from the Middle East. Maybe he wasn't, accustomed to the UK weather just as yet, but he ran his heart out that day. And then the Group 2 Blue Point Sprint at Maidan over the 5. He finished 4th by 2 3/4 lengths that day. He ran okay. He was with him early on, but just a little bit flat late. But I thought his best race lifetime actually came prior to that at Seville. Right before Christmas, 5 furlongs in Class 2 handicap. He won by 2 1/4 lengths. He saw a good pace to close up into. He stalked. He got the lead. He quickened up nicely, and he flew home clear late. Not a bad racer that day. He ran this one last year, right? A massive 3rd place finish by a neck, closing up from nowhere from a tracking trip. Not, like I said, not a bad race at all. And that's in that defeat, his form really got better as the season went on last year with those 2 victories at the end of the year. Refreshing here today off some decent form. I think he could win. I think the 9 horse here, who is looking for Linda, could win also for Holly Doyle and Carl Burke. Most recently ran the horse at York in a Class 2 handicap over the 5, where he actually placed on Clarendon House that day. He finished 2nd by 1/4 lengths that day, and he just kind of stalked. Couldn't keep up with Clarendon House, but he got down the race course well. Is getting a lot less weight, 116 pounds, which I think is a good one with this one. And he's drawn on the inside, which I don't think is half bad either. Prior to that, a Class 2 handicap ripping over the 5 on very soft ground. He finished 3rd by 2 lengths that day. And again, he was with him on the lead. He just kind of yielded late, maybe need the race off the quick turnaround, but he ran his heart out. And then over the 5 here on trial day in the Betfred handicap, Class 3 handicap locally, on Derby trial day, he finished 2nd by 1/4 lengths. And again, he just was a little green that day, which probably cost him, but he's really improved a lot. Come back here off some decent runs, can handle a given the ground. I'll give him a shot here on the ticket. But to recount my selections for the 5th race now, the 3:45 from Epsom, it is the Aston Martin Dash handicap. Gonna take the 1 horse Clarendon House. Give kudos to the 9 horse here looking for Linda. 1-9 forecast exacta, 1-9 in the multi race. The featured 4:30 now, the 6th race from Epsom. It is the Group 1 Betfred Derby. It's Group 1 event for Class 1 horses, going for a purse of $1.9 million, so nearly $2 million here. Race for 3-year-olds here, field of 16 horses, going the Derby trip of ground of 2,400 meters or a 1.5 miles on the turf course. I love the 1 horse Ambient Friendly as a top selection. I'm going to go 1-2-11 in the TriCast trifecta. 1-2-11 TriCast trifecta. Top selection 1 horse Ambient Friendly. This 3-year-old colt by Glen Eagles here. James Fanshaw trains one. Rab Havlin, the veteran, gets them out. Rab Havlin always gets these, everyday mounts, just always gets the horse in the right position. It'd be kind of cool for him to win a Derby finally. It's always been like Frankie getting the good mounts. Now with Frankie here stateside, he's not with Gosden right now, Rob Havlin riding this one, but like I said, it'd be kind of cool for him to finally get some recognition as being a great rider, and finally get a Derby under his belt, because he deserves it. Most recently they ran the horse at, and if you're reading the papers this week about Callum Shepherd originally getting the mount, but then they decided to get the Havlin. I don't think that's a problem. I think getting more experienced rider is good, but Ambient Friendly, his most recent race actually came in the Derby trial, Linkfield, 1.716 on the 11th of May. And he won by 4 1/4 lengths that day. He basically walked around the race course. He had a dream tracking trip. When he had the turn of foot, he could have probably won by more. He walked into the line late. That was a very good run on a course that plays very friendly to Epsom kind of horses. Horses, that come to Epsom after that, they really do wonders locally. Coming here today, I think he's, sitting on that good run. He probably needed the race before that in the field in at Newmarket over the mile on the 17th of April, where he finished 4th by 6 lengths that day. And he sat got back early. He moved a little bit late, but just maybe wasn't 100% cranked, but he got around the race course well. Maybe not, I think Glen Eagles wants a mile and a quarter, but with the Galileo on the dam side also, and, this horse has serious ability, so maybe, like I said, mile and 8, just a little bit too short for him that day. And then the Group 3 Autumn Stakes in Newmarket in the fall last year. His final race as a 2-year-old over the mile. He finished third by 5 1/4 lengths behind Ancient Wisdom, who's running back this one today, who I have second on the ticket. This horse just kind of, was with him early on. Ancient Wisdom caught him that day, but he got around the race course well. And then on debut at Leicester in a Class 3 main race on yielding ground, similar ground that you're going to see today, he won by 3.5 lengths. And on the front end, he really took off clear. He's definitely improved with every single run. His last race was probably the best trial for this race today to date. I think, he could find the trip to win. Let's use him on the ticket. I think your second likeliest winner there at the Derby here is a 2-horse Ancient Wisdom for Charlie Appy, William Buick, and Godolphin. Going to have to overcome a wide poster, though, breaking from barrier number 11 of 16, which is not ideal, but I think this horse, has serious staying ability. Most recently, they ran the horse in the Dante at York, a mile 5, 16th of May, where he finished second by 6 lengths that day, and he was with them early on. He just kind of yielded late. Economics really had the jump on this one. Not running back this one today, unfortunately, but this horse just kind of plodded along that day. Prior to that, though, off the bench also, he probably needed the race. Prior to that, he ran at Doncaster a mile in the Group 1 Kamiko Futurity Trophy, where he won by 1 3/4 lengths that day. And on the front end, on the very demanding ground, he kept going. That was a very good, strong run. And then prior to that, he ran the Group 3 Autumn Stakes in Newmarket over the mile. He won by 3.5 lengths that day. And again, he was with them early on. He got to the front end, and then he stayed the trip well. As the season went on last year, he had a little bit of gap. He missed August and to the end of the 2-year-old season at Newmarket, but between those two gaps, he really became a better horse and really concentrated. Not to say his early 2-year-old form wasn't bad at all. He won at Newmarket quite nicely over the 7 and came back to win. Had a decent third place finish in the Pat Edwards Stakes at Ascot in July. But when he came back for that Autumn Stakes, he was really a different horse. Just the way he runs, if you look at the paper, showed a lot of form last time out at York. Coming here second off the bench, like I said, might have to come. Oh, he's gonna have to overcome a wide poster, but I think he has a strong chance of winning. I'm definitely going to use him on the ticket. And I also think your third likeliest winner here is the 11-horse Los Angeles for Coolmore, Ian O'Brien, and Wade Lorden. Most recently in the Group 3 Derby Trial, Leopardstown to the mile and a quarter, the horse won by length that day, and from a tracking trip, he did everything and more. A very good run. No problem for the staying trip with this one. I think his horse could stay for miles. Prior to that, they took the horse as a 2-year-old, his final race as a 2-year-old in the Group 1 Criterium de Saint Cloud at Saint Cloud, a mile and a quarter, 22nd of October, where he won by a neck. Had to be used a lot that day, but he grinded it out to the wire. Very good, strong performance. First-time winners, first-time stakes quality horses. And then prior to that, Tipperary in a main race over the mile and the 8th, he won by 2 1/4 lengths, and from the inside that day, he stalked, he quickened up, and he got the job done. Saved a lot of ground from the rail that day. Has really improved a lot. He gets a very good post trial. Like I said, he could stay forever. I think he's a very likely winner out of all the O'Brien horses. He's going to be getting some bets from me. I'm definitely using the quad pod here today. But to recount my selections now for the 4:30, the 6th race from Epsom, it's the Group 1 Betfred Derby. We're going to take the 1-horse Ambient Friendly, give kudos to the 2-horse Ancient Wisdom and the 11-horse Los Angeles, 1-2-11 Tricast Trifecta, 1-2-11 in the quarter place pod. I don't know if you can see behind me the cat running around. But with that being said, good luck to all. Remember to follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And also join me tomorrow for my French Derby, the Prix du Jockey Club preview from Chantilly, and join me next week for my Belmont Stakes Festival preview. Good luck, everybody.